welcome to a weird play that we're doing. We demanded that we were all seated and then the curtain opened to reveal us. And we thank the 92nd Street Y for complying with our request. This is, after all, the best Y above 91st Street. In 2011, Sarah Schneider and Chris Kelly began working at a little show called Saturday Night Live on NBC on Saturdays. They were excellent new writers that we were very happy to have. I was writing at the show at that time. I wrote with two other writers named Marika Sawyer and Simon Rich. And at one point, we were getting a lot of stuff on, and Seth Meyers, who was the head writer, called us the Dream Team. And we really liked that nickname because it meant that we were good at the thing we were doing. Because the Dream Team was a basketball team, and they were all really good at basketball. They were all famous basketball players. After Chris and Sarah started, maybe after a couple months, we were in the rewrite room, and Seth said out loud, "Hey, you guys are the new Dream Team." We said nothing, but we are still mad about it to this day. They immediately established their ridiculously funny voice at the show, not just with the incredible music videos that I think so many of you have seen, Twin Bed, etc., but with other favorites of mine, like Boss Baby, Baby Boss, excuse me. Boss Baby is an Alec Baldwin movie. Baby Boss is a sketch. Dyke and Fats, the funniest sketch ever. And one of my favorites that did not make it onto air, which was the Old Lush show when Bruce Willis hosted. But that was cut, so you've never seen it. Now they've created a show called The Other Two. Yes. And the Dream Team has done it again. The new Dream Team, that is. This show is on, and you just saw an episode of it. And we are all on stage now to talk about it. I think this show is hilarious. It has, for two reasons. Because it, in one episode, mentions Brother Jimmy's, which is one of the worst places in Manhattan. They don't even draw attention to it. Drew just gets a text to meet at Brother Jimmy's. And in this past episode, the old Hollywood theme, incorporating Anchorman and Knocked Up, is a stroke of absolute brilliance. So please welcome Sarah Schneider, Chris Kelly, Drew Tarver, and Helena York from The Other Two. I'm John Mulaney, and I'm a stand-up. So the show deals with adolescence and internet fame, so I'm just going to use a lot of questions from when I interviewed Bo Burnham for 8th grade. What's it like to be 7 feet tall? Okay, I'm going to give some general, boring questions that I think are important. And I find them, boring, but I also want to know the information. So you guys were at Saturday Night Live. You generated constant premises every week, right? And then you had to create a show, and you had to decide on something that you were going to work on for a long, long time. And you know that, because you did it. How'd you decide on this premise?
Great question.
Thank you.
Thank you for that amazing intro. Also, quick side note, the nickname that we thought we had, because it was the only one told to our faces, was the Snark Twins. We never heard the Dream Team.
That's what Sandberg called us,
yeah.
And we didn't like it. So
Wait,
tonight I
he
like
called you the Snark
rebranding.
Twins?
Yes.
He did, our first year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Also,
a guy who belongs to triplets of bad attitudes.
Also, I really loved the two you mentioned, Boss Baby and Dyke and Fats. That's a real whiplash of
That's like showing them that I know the B-sides that are cool, That's more about me looking interesting.
real range though.
I don't know. I don't just know all the hits.
Okay, so yeah, your question about this premise for this
Yeah, how'd you
show.
come up with the other two?
Yeah. How'd you do that? Well, we were always when we were at SNL, we would always kick around so many premises for stuff and take forever to decide on something because we knew we'd have to work on it for that whole week. And so we wanted to make sure it felt like it had legs and we were going to like it 5 days later. So it was that times knowing we'd have to work on it for a year and a half. We were just very picky. We thought thought through and pitched a lot of ideas, and we just kept coming back to this one and the premise
Pitch them to each other?
yeah, privately.
Yeah.
And we just kept coming back to this one. It like made us laugh. Yeah. The premise of it, the juxtaposition of those two, and this like teen star. So we decided to go for it.
If you don't mind me asking, do you remember some of the other premises?
Yes, I do. Well, because we talked about this and then we were like, oh, that's funny, maybe it's something else. And then we came up with basically, it was more or less like Seinfeld on a desert island. It was a bunch of people marooned, and then it's like just they're there. And we were like, oh my God, open an email to your agents, your managers, get it out there now. And then we got an email back so fast that was like, that is what Wrecked is on TBS. It wasn't out yet, but they were like, they're going to announce it tomorrow, hands down. Stop working on Wrecked.
Oh my God.
Wrecked exists.
Yeah.
And then we were like, I guess I'll do the other two.
How embarrassing if
that
you'd
was
gone
one of the
public
ideas.
with your idea. When at the stroke of midnight, Wrecked was going.
But that was like
You pitch in private.
that was another idea we kicked around, but I don't know. I don't remember any other ones.
So they were marooned on the island.
I don't know.
And then
It's gonna be like the minutia of day to day being stuck on an island.
I think it was because we were like, we want to write funny jokes, but like I don't want to see him at work, you know? So I think we're like, we'll put him on an island.
Yes, absolutely. I think jobs that aren't in entertainment on TV shows are tedious and boring to hear about.
Truly. Well, we've talked about that when we.
Because, and I say that, some of you might have jobs not in entertainment. God bless you. But the reason is that it's comedy writers trying to write like what an architect does, and it's just excruciating. Like, they want me to redraw the roof, you know, and you're like, get out of here.
That was how every single baby boss sketch starts with someone being like, the numbers for the quarter are in. Because we were just like, what do people in business say?
It was
always like the quarter.
It was
the
such a
papers.
relief when that goddamn Boss Baby finally entered.
Did you call, was the sketch called Boss Baby?
It was called like Office Boss.
It was called Office Boss, right?
So that you didn't see it coming right away.
Right. Yes, because the sketches are printed on a schedule and you don't want to give away your premise. So, Office Boss, one of the great pairings of words. So, you didn't go with Marooned, and this kept making you laugh.
Yeah.
And then you created it.
Yes.
And now we're here.
We were talking about jobs. I did a pivot. We were talking about jobs not in the industry, into
Oh yeah.
entertainment industry.
Yeah.
Just reminding you where we were.
Yeah. They're boring when written by comedy writers. And then I felt I alienated the audience. So
You tried to get away. And
then
I
I explained to them that it's just that comedy writers know nothing. And so it's sad. What was it like going from Saturday Night Live to writing this show? It's interesting information, and I know you've been asked it a lot, and I'm sorry, but I want to know too.
Do you guys want to take
Helena.
Oh, when I was writing an SNL, just kidding. Like, what am I even doing here?
What was the transition like? It was weird. We'd been there for so long. We were there for 6 years, and our last season was that election season. So we really, really, really loved it. But we're also like...
The outcome of the election?
Yeah, we loved we were like, we did it for him, baby. Let's get out. And job done. And no, but it was like such an intense, fun year, and we'd been there for so long. But we were pitching this idea during that last season, so we sort of knew we were going to be leaving, hopefully, knock on wood, for this. And I don't know, it was nice to work on something for longer. Like, we like writing sketches, it was fun, but it was nice to like write something that had characters and plot and that you could just spend more time with. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you really do have like fully fleshed out amazing characters played by these two people right here.
Aww.
As well as Molly Shannon and many others. When did you two, in the genesis of the show, first become attached or read it?
Drew was first.
Yeah, I read it, and I loved the script so much that I told my agent, I was like, oh, I really want to go out for this, and they're like, they're not seeing people yet, so I just crossed a personal boundary and contacted Chris via email. And it was really not smart.
I was like, this is just pathetic enough for the character.
Hey, heard you wrote a script.
I didn't realize that email was the audition. It was like, please, I read it, I love it.
It's like, this is tough, this works.
Yeah.
Hey,
just
money's
give
tight.
it to him.
Yeah.
He's a loser.
I mean, you're a smart, funny person. Did you try to like couch it in like, how did you write the email?
No, it was couched in nothing.
No, it was normal and good. It was not that weird.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I was just like, I know you guys aren't seeing people yet.
Oh, so you gave up that you knew that
Yes.
information.
I gave up everything.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't like, hey, cool running into you on the street the other day.
Yeah.
Also, that script, kind of saw it, you know, it
Yeah.
wasn't. I don't
Totally
know how
loved it. By the way, I love auditioning for stuff.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. No, it was desperation.
I know you're not seeing people yet,
Yes.
but
I will literally film the whole show, every scene, and send it to you. No, I didn't say that. I was just like, are there any scenes you would want to see?
wait, you asked for like sides to put yourself.
Yeah, I was like,
That's great.
which part do you want to see? I'll film it in my bedroom. I moved a big dresser out of the way.
Wait, so his
It's
response?
Like a porn. That's like the
Well, yeah,
beginning
I
of
filmed some porn
What do you
too,
wanna see?
quickly.
Move a dresser.
Yeah.
You have no other wall space? That
Well, that particular wall space. Actually,
front
no.
door and then a dresser
Yeah.
that covers the entire wall.
My room is just lined with shit. No, that particular part of the wall had the best natural light, and I usually take a lamp
Yeah.
shade off of a lamp,
Yes,
and it's
that's
like a
key.
hard, super hard, harsh light right in my face.
A piece of
gotta say-
CVS poster board, by the way, will act as a bounce.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That's
sorry,
smart.
the shiny side, not the dull side.
Yeah. I have once laid down a dress shirt to get a little bounce, a white dress shirt.
Ooh, that's so funny. That's funny. I was like, oh, I'm going to clock that away.
That's sad, yeah.
And then Helena.
Helena, was your entrance to the project, did it have any more dignity than what we just heard? What furniture did you move?
You know, I can't believe I'm sitting on this stage right now. I mean, I got the email to audition for it, and I was like, oh, I knew who they were from Boss Baby, I guess is what we're calling it now. And, you know, Dyke and Fats. I love that this is the stuff that's getting
And
really
oh,
silent.
yeah, that was another great one.
So I knew who they were, and I was a fan, and I read the pilot, and I was like, motherfucker. No, I'm sorry, children. If there are any, it's late. I wanted to get it, and just reading it, I was like, this is so good. I love these people. This is so awesome. This is like a cool club of awesome people that know how to do improv and comedy and
Cool.
yeah, you're all setting up dress shirts for light bounce, shamelessly pitching themselves for TV shows.
These guys light themselves.
And I went in and I auditioned, and I sat with them, and I hung out with them for 40 minutes, and I loved them. And I remember I went to 30 Rock, and auditioning there is so cool. And I went upstairs and I left, and I called my manager, and I was like, God, they're so awesome. They'll never hire me, but I wonder if they'll have a drink with me sometime. So now we drink and work together, and it's really nice.
But I will say we were fans of both of theirs too. Like
Yes.
they're playing it whatever, but like we have known Drew through UCB and have been a fan of his and like loved Helena in a bunch of things. I mean, she's a full Broadway star.
Yeah.
And we knew her from High Maintenance and just we knew right away that we wanted to see her audition. So yeah.
Yeah, these are talented, fascinating
talented people who are,
individuals.
you
It
know.
wasn't just like, by emails, yeah. So when you said to your manager, that was amazing, I won't get this, did your manager give you any reassurance? Or were they like, yeah, maybe we'll get a drink with them, and I hung up?
He was like, Boo, why don't you wait and see? I was like, I don't know. It seems impossible.
That's a good manager.
Yeah, he's here. He's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He called you Boo.
He calls me Boo. He produces High Maintenance, which is a show that I was on, and I just whacked myself, and yeah.
Get his email.
Damn. Did not know that at the dinner earlier.
Be weird, Boo. Pitch yourself.
Where is he at?
When I first saw some of the other amazing actors that are on the show, like Richard Kind, Wanda Sykes, I didn't know how much we'd be seeing them throughout the series, but it's amazing how many episodes you were able to get them in and be so hilarious in. No, like, no, I was just like, is that just a little pop-up? So to keep seeing them is a delight. What's it
really
like to work with them?
Are they nice?
Are they nice? That's my mom's question about every SNL host. Were they nice? Of course they weren't nice.
Well, that does feel like sort of a risk, especially with some of the people that we got to work with that you just listed, who have just been working for decades and are legends and amazing, and you really could easily see them coming in and just being very particular or very, I'm not gonna do this, and they were all so nice. We got grossly lucky. This is a boring answer. I don't have any gossip for you.
No, it's nice. Oh, I wasn't fishing
I
for
know.
that. I was looking for a little positivity,
This world.
Yeah, much like that Mr. Rogers documentary, I think you just warmed our hearts with the fact that Wanda Sykes and Richard Kind are nice people.
We when we were shooting with Richard Kind, who we are huge fans of and love him, it was our last day of shooting, and we were shooting a scene where Richard Kind was in a car that we were just driving circles around Times Square, and the car, we were stopped at a red light, so we couldn't shoot because the car needed to be moving. We were at a red light at 1 in the morning,
Was
and
he
Richard Kind was
physically
supposed to be
driving?
driving the car, and 3 young guys saw him at a red light shooting, and they were like, Richard fucking Kind! And we were stopped at a red light for 5 minutes, and these men screamed and were so excited to see Richard Kind, and he was so bashful and just kind of sat there smiling. It was really fun to see people lose their shit for him.
Well, it was in
They
Congress.
were
You feel like it'd be like an older woman being like, I'm a big fan. And it was like college bros
You're like,
drunk. being like,
"Whoa,
Richard fucking
We were
It was
moving in the car, and they were sidestepping, keeping up with this. Richard! Richard!
Oh yeah, Drew was there.
I was.
It was crazy how much they loved
Crazy.
it.
They were following us. He was like, Jesus, keep
Oh,
moving,
wow.
keep moving.
Just like Princess Diana paparazzi style.
It was
right?
just like that.
It was just like that.
He
yeah.
also came by set one day to visit.
Ah.
Wasn't in it, just was in the neighborhood and came to say hi.
My little sister, her favorite actor is Richard Kind. And so for her 30th birthday, I emailed him and said, is there any way you could sign a photo to my sister? You're her favorite actor. And he said, yeah, where do you live? I'll drop it off. And also, just real quick, Richard Kind's story, being recognized. He told me that he was walking around the Upper West Side, and after the movie Inside Out came out, someone walked up to him and went, hey, dum-dum. And he went, what? And they go, dum-dum, you're dum-dum in that movie. He goes, you mean Bing Bong? And they go, yeah, dum-dum.
He came to set one day, and they were like, Richard, do you want any food? And he was like, yeah, can I get turkey, mashed potatoes and gravy, and just a vegetable side? And they were like, yeah, sure. We were shooting at a diner, and they got it. And then I didn't see him for an hour, and then I was done working, and he came in the makeup trailer to start his scene, and he just walks in and he goes, I've eaten too much.
He really should be here.
The best thing to say before someone calls action. I've eaten too much. Chris Kelly, since this show features a child actor, I was reminded that Seth Meyers and I met with you in Los Angeles about writing for Saturday Night Live. And I don't know if you know this, but when Seth and I walked away from it, the thing that probably absolutely sealed the deal for Seth was a story you told us about a child actor you worked with on the Onion News Network.
Oh, yeah.
And I was wondering if you would tell that story.
Wow, that was so long. I remember auditioning a bunch of kids for this Onion News Network video, and they needed to be 4. Maybe I'm exact. Maybe it was 5. Let's say 4. Oh, I should have committed to 4. I think it was 5. And he,
But not like people. They were
truly
5.
a child,
Yeah,
a true
yeah.
baby. And he came in and auditioned. He walked into this class conference room. He was wearing a leather jacket and faded little jeans, but was a little sweet little dumpling. And he was auditioning, and in the middle of his audition, you kind of heard bzzz, and then he went, oh, I have to take this. And then He truly walked out, and like it was very hard to open the heavy door, but did it, and then we never saw him again. So I don't know if like his mom was like, "Are you done?" And he was like, "Yeah, babe, I'm done," or like what, but like he truly walked out, and
not to put words in your mouth, but I recall you telling us that he went, "Oh, it's Trevor," or something.
yeah, oh, it's Trevor. Yeah, that's sorry.
Oh,
it's so long
Trevor,
ago.
yeah.
What if that kid is playing Chase Dreams and I just don't remember?
Yeah, the idea of a 4-year-old in a leather jacket from behind trying to push a heavy glass door
yeah.
open while cradling a phone.
Wait, I forgot, but it literally was Trevor.
It was Trevor?
It was Trevor.
Yeah. Oh, it's Trevor. I'm gonna walk out. Did any of you begin acting, or did you all act and perform when you were little kids? In school? Yeah. Elaborate.
Say more words.
Say more words.
I grew up in like the middle of nowhere in Georgia, like kind of where Honey Boo Boo's from.
Oh, near like Dublin?
Close to Dublin, yeah. Near Statesboro.
Yep.
Let's just talk minutia Georgia towns.
I think, well, let's close the curtain
yeah,
to it.
please.
Yeah.
So there was not really a theater well, there was a theater program, but we just did, like, I went to a Christian school, so we just
Oh, we
did,
assumed, yeah.
Something about my whole vibe just screams Christian school. And we would perform Bible plays, but it was like Bible fan fiction, kind of. So it would be like, what does Noah do when he's not building the ark? What? Still go get wood. Like,
Yeah.
it's still, he needs more wood.
That's, I mean, along with like marooned on a desert island and just seeing the minutia, that's equally a good premise. Like, what does Noah do when he's not building the ark?
Yeah.
He has a group of friends.
Stunning. That is not my answer. I grew up dancing ballet from like a very young age and was very serious about it, like psychotically serious about it. And then I remember when I was in 7th grade, we started doing, they were like, you are allowed to graduate and dance on point now.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, great, I can't wait, this is amazing. And then I started and I was like, what the fuck is this? This is gonna be in textbooks someday where they're like, they made people dance on their toes, can you believe it? Ballet dancers are amazing, ballet is amazing.
But an NFL like scandal is approaching. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna start it. And so, you know, I was like, I like eating a lot of cheese and carbs, and I don't want to dance on my toes. I think ballet is not the path for me. So I started doing theater like in high school, and I was like, I should major in musical theater. And I was like, you know, I went to the University of Michigan. I started musical theater. Thank you, go blue. And graduated and got here and was like, all I wanted to do was be on Broadway. That was like the number one thing that I wanted to, I mean, I traipsed around the city with like, you know, bags of costumes and changed in Starbucks bathrooms trying to get jobs doing theater. And my first job was Walmartopia at the Minetta Lane Theater. We ran for an amount of time because these women that owned a tchotchke business in Wisconsin were like determined to keep us open. And I think at one time we did the show.
So wait, no, sorry.
They were funding it?
I
They
must.
were funding it. They
They weren't buying tickets.
go back.
Were they buying tickets and paying people to go, or were they just
they
keeping it open?
believed in the message of Walmartopia so fully because we were exposing Walmart for being so bad to their employees, and they wanted it to stay open. And we would do the show for like 3 people sometimes, and we'd just be like, "We're gonna do it." So there's that joke where you're like, "Let's just do it for us, you guys," and they're like, "Go home to your family, John." Was literally us. And I like.
How much money did they give? Do you know?
To me?
Yeah.
I got paid well to the point where like I ate for 4 months. Like
That is good.
That's a good
4 months
tchotchke
of-
business. I like that they're like, we got to take on Walmart. You know how we should do that is bleed all of our money into a show.
And now Walmart's done.
Yeah, and now they're done. And mom and pop tchotchke businesses won.
And I did Grease on Broadway in 2008, and we watched 14 Broadway shows close within a month of each other with like the financial, and then I went on tour with Wicked, and like this was what I wanted to do, and then I broke my ankle, which is a plot point in the show, and was like, I should do television. They don't make you do backflips.
So you got away from dancing on Point only to break your own ankle.
Yeah, only to end up on a show with amazing people.
Yeah, it's a real O. Henry type story. I just wanted to ask, I was a theater usher and I saw probably 90 performances of Mamma Mia because I had to be on the loge level. When you do Grease 8 times a week, like, are those songs embedded in your head in a psychotic way?
Yes. I mean, it's Grease 8 times a week. That's a lot of bebop for, anything 8 times a week is insanity.
And the thing with the like popular musicals is that you then hear it in like CVS. So I would hear Dancing Queen in CVS, and I'd be like, I gotta get away from ABBA like now.
I've seen Mamma Mia once, and that happens to me.
Well, I went through a cycle where I was like, I don't like this sucks. And then I was like, then by like, at performance 50, and I was an usher, I was like, these are the finest pop songs ever written.
Was that just like, is it Stockholm Syndrome? Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's true. Stockholm Syndrome, because they're actually from that area of the world.
Wow.
Wait, you were an usher at the Winter Garden Theater?
No, in Chicago at, don't laugh, it's a major city. But I should have clarified. No, at the Cadillac Palace and the Oriental and the Schubert in Chicago.
When you were in high school?
High school and then freshman year of college for like I'd pick up some shows over the summer.
What other shows did you usher?
Unfortunately, the bulk of it was Mamma Mia. But then I got to do Fosse, and then I got, Fosse was a long run, and then I worked on John Leguizamo Live, which was like kind of in between some of his, two of his more named one-man shows that I'm blanking on. So that story petered out.
When you hear John Leguizamo in a CVS, it's also triggering.
Yeah, when they start playing John Leguizamo's one-person show in a CVS, you're like, when am I going to get away from this? So, looking at Chase's life and career in this, I was curious. What if you could decide, and you can name a person to indicate what you mean, what level of fame would you like? And it's okay to say none. But I doubt that's true of any of us. So, what level of fame would you find like comfortable? Is there anyone you see where you're like, I want that?
I have a good answer I have an answer right away, which is none, no fame. I thought I used to want it, and then when I'm around people who have it, it feels like a prison. Is that fun?
Yeah.
It feels scary that like to be famous and have people like know who you are everywhere you go. That level of like super famous where you're like, oh, I can't go to the store. Like imagining that feels so crazy.
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
I love the store.
But I did this to be able to go to the store. Yeah.
I don't know.
Basically, I'm thinking like the level of like Nicole Holofcener, where like you would maybe not always recognize her, but if you like realize who it was, you would be like, oh my God, you've made iconic movies that are like beloved.
My answer's Nora Ephron.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or, like people would go like, oh my fucking God, but then you can also go to the store.
Yes, that's a good level where if you know, and then they respect you, but it's not like your face is like super famous for everybody.
like Patricia Clarkson. To be like, I would love to be Patricia Clarkson, where you're like, yes, but not necessarily. I don't know, right? Would some people not necessarily be able to place her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm just trying to think about walking down the street. And then, you go, oh, that might have been Patricia Clarkson. Yeah.
I haven't been doing great with getting recognized. Just like, the other day I was trying to jaywalk, and a car.
You're trying to break the law.
Well, sort of. Yeah. So I'm trying to jaywalk, and I go across the street, and I this car I kind of go in front of this car and I have my headphones in and I hear someone yell something at me from the car. And I'm like, are they reprimanding me for jaywalking? Just relax. So I take my headphones out and I go, what's up? Very angrily.
First off, that would be your response if you were breaking the law and someone
Yeah.
yelled at you for it. What's up?
Well, to me, it was like, it's not a cop car. Somebody's about to are they trying to citizens arrest me? Like, relax. It was jaywalking. And I said, what's up? And he said, I'm very excited for your show.
He was in a moving car?
Yeah. Well, he had slowed.
Oh.
He had slowed. And I was just kind of I went from scowl to thank you.
And then you were hit by another.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be good.
I stand underneath our subway ads. Now they're made in New York and it's on the subway and I'll just stand under it
Yeah. Anytime someone's ever oh, I saw Helena York on the street, they're where? They're under a sign of herself. Posing and smiling.
It was such a coincidence.
Yeah, me too. I saw her there too.
And do you have can you name a person you'd want to be then? Who would hit that mark for you? Where when you're jaywalking, if someone yells something, you can assume it's about your work. Maybe that's Richard Kind.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah.
What about what about Dax Shepard?
That's nice. Yeah.
It's not it might be from TV, but it might be hey, you really open up on your podcast.
Right.
Something like
So when people say something to you, it's because they truly appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's not just you're on a thing.
Yeah. And I don't
Like The Rock probably has that, you know?
Yes.
I doubt he goes to any stores. Yeah.
I don't want to be like Taylor Swift who's getting carted out of her home in a box. You know what I mean? That level is insanity.
That's the inspiration for the beginning of this episode. Yeah.
What? Is that true?
Yeah, because remember she got taken to her car in a suitcase, legitimately.
For real?
Yes.
Really did.
They were see that suitcase? That's Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Wait, where was she? What happened?
Outside of her,
It's just a photo of some luggage.
Of a strong man carrying a very large suitcase.
It was strong, man.
That's how I found it. I
Oh,
heard
man.
strong man.
Then this hunk of
I
man
have a
comes
Google
up.
alert for strong man, and that's what I found.
She found it looking for strong man. She was looking for strong man lift
Strong man
suitcase.
strong man plus luggage plus effort. So, is it a roller suitcase?
no, they
No, it's
carried it.
yeah. I guess that's
It's a piece of
throw the scent
Titanic
off.
luggage is what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's getting loaded onto the Titanic.
I'm so excited for you to Google this.
Why didn't it work? Because the luggage looked too weird?
Because she's too famous that everyone knows her every move, and so people were like, I actually saw her enter. She's
Yeah,
in there.
she was there
They
later.
knew.
Y'all, I saw her get into a suitcase.
She was loudly playing the guitar inside of it.
The suitcase kept being like, I love y'all, I love you.
Thanks so much for coming out.
And that inspired sneaking in through the vent. Oh, wow. Yeah. That's a bummer that didn't work because that seems like a good idea, the suitcase.
It does not seem like a good idea.
Well,
So insane to really think about the moment of Taylor Swift being like, okay, so I'm gonna get. So now I curl up and get into this, and you carry me, sir.
It seems like a good idea, but even if the risk is 1%, someone's gonna be like, Taylor Swift's in there. That's so humiliating. Bail.
yeah. Just the idea of the zipper breaking and falling out.
Actually, that could be good for her.
Yeah.
That could be good for her.
Yeah. Like one of those off-mic moments where you learn, hey,
Just go
she's
deep
like us, a human, you know. She rides around.
We've
in
all
luggage.
fallen out of a suitcase.
I was talking to a security guard at Disney World last year. It doesn't matter why, and he told me that Paul McCartney from the Beatles came to Disney World like last year, and he was like, "I bought a Halloween mask, and I'm gonna like a full like rubber over-the-head mask," and he was like, "I'm gonna wear it so I don't get recognized." And same with Taylor Swift. I'm like, he's not used to it yet. Like he hasn't figured out a way to handle it. Like, oh, thank you very much. He's like, I'm gonna wear a fucking rubber mask all day long. Anyway, great musician though.
I'm sure he also had like a team of bodyguards around him. So it's like, well, what's more obvious than a man in a full mask surrounded by men in black with earpieces? You're
Yeah.
like, that's
Yeah, you're like, I hope
Paul
to God
McCartney.
that's Paul McCartney.
Yeah, like a guy in like a blazer and t-shirt and then like an Alf mask surrounded by bodyguards. People are like, is
Just
that
writing
Alf?
Small World. You're like, what is
Yeah.
that?
Hey, this is great. And you're like,
Oh, that's Paul McCartney.
oh, that's Paul McCartney.
As soon as he says, excuse me, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, is that
Yeah. Or Alf is rich, they'd think. Alf was played by an actor and he's wealthy. Here's a question that I found in a game called Table Topics that's for dinner parties. Would you want to go to outer space if you could? In the sort of space tourism sense.
No.
Yeah, my God, no. That sounds terrifying.
Why?
Because it's like, Elon Musk is insane, and he's like, yes, I've developed this, and I'm like, okay, sure, no.
Well, I don't know if you have to go with Elon Musk.
Well,
That changes my answer.
will I die, or is it?
Oh,
Is it
you know what? Let's take death off the table.
okay? Then
Let's take death off the
I would
table.
love to go. I
If
think
death is off the table, then yeah, sure.
Yeah, I don't
Death
want
is off the table. I'll pretty much do anything. I feel like it would be like being buried alive, but in space. I would just feel trapped
Yeah.
and stressed.
Yeah. How long do you have to go, or we?
I
can
don't know
choose?
the particulars of space
Until you're
travel.
really, really old, and then you land back on Earth, and then you die right
Then
away.
you die right away.
You would feel like you were buried alive. Yeah, it's like fame in a way, being
Wow.
being in space. That's why I asked, not because I saw a game called Tabletop.
Do you think is it like in a typical spacecraft, or are there more windows?
I don't know enough about space travel.
Yeah.
I'm picturing like Apollo 13, which was a flawed mission. But so I'm picturing like
Yeah.
the capsule with then a hallway.
Yeah, I don't like those little tiny weird windows, and like that's
The
all.
portal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't like if there was a nice big window, maybe.
I don't want to go because. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I wouldn't go either. But I like see pictures of space and it makes me existential about like everything I'm doing day to day. Like
Yes.
why did I make this show? I'm nothing. I'm
Yes.
dust. So being in it, I think I would just be like, I can't. Way too existential.
Yeah, my wife said I'd definitely go, and I said I wouldn't because if I saw the Earth from outside the Earth, I'd get back here and I'd be like, it's all pointless. Like this is so stupid. Like the guys who walked on the moon must have later looked up at the moon and been like, everything's dumb. All
I
right.
also don't want to sip water as like globules out of the air. That
I bet
looks
zero
sick.
gravity's fun for like 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
I would barf.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have motion sickness just for that alone.
And how fast do your bones become mush?
Now, not only do I not know the answer to that, but I'm not sure that they do.
I don't think that's a thing. What do you think space
No,
is?
do you have to like work out when you're up there, or you
Oh, like
become
the
mush?
atrophy, basically?
Oh,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Got it.
Your bones atrophy when you're in space?
Didn't one of the guys who went to space for a really long time come back shorter, taller, shorter? Something like that.
Well, if his bones
back-
Yeah,
atrophy.
he was a strong man.
There was an astronaut who was a twin, or is a twin, and
Okay,
they were
what-
the exact same height. And when he came back from space after a year and a half, they were not the same height.
He was like, hey, stand
And I
next to your
don't
twin
remember
brother.
which
And he's, shorter? Wow.
Yeah.
So many things to look up. Taylor Swift suitcase, twin astronaut shorter, question mark.
Strong man suitcase.
Trust me, it's worth it.
So not a lot of enthusiasm for space travel overall from this group. That's absolutely fine. That's
What about you guys?
yeah.
Would anyone raise your hand if you would go to space? Also, everyone raising their hand if they were like, "Great, tomorrow let's suit you up and shoot you out there," you would not go. Nice try.
Yeah, like I don't even want to go scuba diving because there's like a class you have to take. I'll do snorkeling because they just give you the tube. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Do I?
Yes.
I mean,
I won't go skiing because there's a class you have to take.
yeah, and that class is embarrassing because they tie your
I-
skis together.
I did go scuba diving one time, and I felt like that before. I was like, this is dumb. I'm going to panic. And I did. I panicked. But then when I got down there, it was really awesome. And I was like next to turtles, and it did feel like outer space. And it was like, whoa, this is crazy. And when I got back up on the boat, me and my dad hugged. And I've hugged my dad, but it was one of those like, oh, son. Like, and it was amazing. So
Imagine if you went to space.
Yeah. Well, I have to go with my daddy, though.
You and your dad need to be in separate shuttles, and then when you get back to Earth, yeah.
Yeah.
If we go to space, do we get to go with our daddies or are we alone?
Oh, did I mention you have to be with your parents the entire time? So you both had a real emotional response. What
Yeah.
creatures did you see below the ocean waves that made this outpouring of emotion happen?
What creatures?
Yeah.
What turtles? Little small fish.
It's always just little small fish.
But yeah, no like big fish.
Jacques
Yeah, turtles
Cousteau's
don't-
grandson.
How deep?
Behold the turtles, really small fish.
Were you like deep? How deep?
Maybe
did you
like
go?
maybe
How many
40
leagues?
feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, 40 feet under the sea.
We're gonna undermine the hug if we can hear more details about.
Yeah.
He just saw little fish.
Yeah. But yeah, not a ton of sea creatures. I mean, definitely turtles. But it was just like we survived.
Oh, it
We-
was
you know,
survival.
It was like we did it, cause you kind of panic, and it's really hard to get down there if you're like claustrophobic. But when you get down there, you're like, we did it, we're here, and then you start to calm down, and you're like, whoa, this feels a little bit like outer space. So I think, but then you have to go up and stop,
Yeah.
go up and stop, go up and stop. So it's like a process, and we could have freaked out and just like if you swim to the top, if you freak out and just swim up to the top, I think your head explodes, like, or
Is
something.
that what the Benz is? Your head explodes? Yeah, your head blows up.
Yeah. So I think it was just going through all of that. Our heads didn't blow up, and we saw some small fish. We were like, whoa.
Because I was in Israel once with a former tank commander. He was our guide, and the whole time he was like, I don't believe in God. He would just bring it up. And then we went to the aquarium in Eilat, and we were like looking at the jellyfish, and he started crying. And then I went to the gift shop, and he was at the gift shop, and he was like rapping to fill in, like he was praying. Yeah, so I didn't know if it was about seeing the sea creatures, but for you guys, it sounds like it was just fear of dying underwater.
Yeah, maybe it was just that we didn't die, so we hugged.
That's really nice, though. I know we dissected it a lot, but that's a nice story.
Thank you. Yeah, it felt really good.
You're welcome. How have you two liked being in charge of like running a show? Back to the other two, because you were the head writers of SNL, but like there's other people above you. There's
Yeah.
that one guy.
Yes, we saw him twice. I mean, it's very different at SNL because it's so established, the like hierarchy there. It's been happening for 40 plus years. And so to have our own show, you kind of like create that. There's nothing in place already. So we learned a lot about what it takes to run something.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Do you like that side of it?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was fun, and it was fun, like, moving through the process. You know what I mean? Like, getting to write, and then getting to make it, and then getting to, like, be in the edit, and, like, see it through all the way was nice and very fulfilling. And, like we were said, this is very cheesy, but getting to not do sketches and tell stories that felt, like, a little more occasionally dramatic or based on our real lives or, like, things that we cared about, like, that was fulfilling to edit and to see episodes come together and be like, oh, this is funny, but we really like just little human moments in the show, and
Yeah.
you know that kind of stuff has been
Knowing you two
fulfilling.
for a few years and seeing the show, like there's elements of you guys in the characters that is very, I think, I don't mean to be presumptuous, that I find very, it's just very nice for me to see. It's like when you come out from the sea and you see your dad, you know, it's just, it's an emotion.
Yeah, I kept pitching that scene a lot.
Yeah. Hey, what if we get a boat? Okay, I do have to ask. Was it episode 3 where Wanda Sykes is going through everyone's possible internet history and problematic history? Were any of the details that were said, they don't have to be you two, were they true of anyone who works on the show?
The getting a boner in church and tucking your dick up was me for sure. And then
That was the question.
and then the and then the other two weren't real, I think, for me or anyone, but they were such lateral moves that when we pitched around it, everyone felt like it was true of them or something. Like just yeah. But the church one was
that's the
so
one I
real.
thought was true. Yeah.
Yeah. Was yeah.
Because I was like, he never worked in a hotel. So, yeah. Before we open it up to the audience, who we've heard from only on space travel so far, is there anything that I did not ask that you would have liked me to ask? Sometimes interviewers say that, and I think it's nice.
Well, you.
Oh, do you want to talk
asked-
about the state of comedy in the current climate? Or?
Yeah. I mean, you asked about space, so that is covered. And no, yeah.
Yeah, and then it says, Comedy Central, so
Yeah.
we plugged it, so yeah. But it's an amazing show, and I want this audience to be able to have some time to ask you questions. There's microphones, I believe, where you can walk up to them and speak into them. And the lights are, oh, look at the ceiling. Oh, wow.
Thank you guys
Wow.
very much for being here. This is very cool and exciting to do this. So thank you very much. This is nice. This is cool. All right.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes, please come up. And then I believe you can sort of start to form a line, is what I've seen happen.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Meredith. Sarah, I would like to say that I love your suit. You look fantastic.
Thank you.
Killing it. Okay, honestly, all of you look fantastic. Way to go. My question is, you kind of just touched on it, but to what extent do you guys write yourselves into the things that you write? Because I'm looking at the stage right now, and you two have the exact same hair. It's like a mirror split between the two of you, and I kind of love it. The parallel is just fantastic.
Yeah,
We do the hair for sure. We put the hair into this.
I figured.
you're talking about me and Drew, right?
Yes, exactly.
I think our Chris and I's dynamic is a little like sibling-esque. We're very familiar with each other, and so when we write their dialogue, it's mostly just us pacing around a room and talking to each other, and that kind of translates into the show. Yeah. And then, we've taken our experiences from our own lives and the lives of the writers in our room, and a lot of them made it into the show in one iteration or another. So those two things are both true.
We also worked together for 2.5 months, so now like mannerisms that I have, it's like I'll do this thing that Sarah does now all the time, where she goes, "No," like.
That's really good.
Wait, that's so there.
No, I would not go to space.
It's so funny that the impression of Sarah is always her saying no.
To my lead actress, no.
No, you cannot do that.
And we have the same hairdresser, and she used to cut Ellen's hair.
Wait, actually?
So.
I don't like the face you're making.
The wreck when I moved to LA and he gave me one, and then she also does Ellen's hair, so there's a lot of overlap. It's like, where does one stop and the other
Very
begin?
incestuous. I got it.
Hair-wise.
One cut very well.
Yeah.
Does not deviate.
You're so lucky Ellen didn't audition for the part.
I know.
In that window when they weren't seeing people.
If I move out to LA, just tweet out the link and I'll cut my hair like that. Let me know.
Thank you. We'll take one from this side.
Whoa. Both sides.
Thank you for moving it.
Yes.
That's in it. It was.
Hi, my name's Sam. And so, aside from using a white dress shirt as a bounce, do you have any other advice for an aspiring actor?
Oh my God.
I took classes at UCB, the Upright Citizens Brigade, and that's where I met a ton of my friends and people I work with now. I went to an acting class early on, and they were like, "You're not very good at this." And I was like, "Well, that's why I'm here. It is a class." But that initial burn stung so hard that I couldn't really continue on. But I mean, but that was just my path. I mean, there's a bunch of different, great classes. I would just say, like, get near people or go to places where you see people and you're like, oh, I want to do that, and try to get close to them. I don't mean that literally, but just like, or maybe literally. Because I would go up to people after shows and be like, you're so funny. Are you going anywhere after this?
So funny. I know you're not auditioning right now.
Yeah.
My advice is always that, this is so gross. I'm so sorry. Close your ears. People are like snowflakes, and, nobody... Shut up, all of you. Nobody's exactly like you. And if you try to do an impression of somebody else or have a career that's exactly like somebody else, like, throw those expectations out the window and do you, because at the end of the day, anybody walking into any room that's doing an impression of somebody, it's not gonna feel real. And nobody's like you, so that's your greatest weapon.
Wow, that
was a really good answer.
Thanks, Sarah.
Whoa, more.
Hello. Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm David. Quick thing, you probably don't remember this, Sarah, but my sister is Melissa Fish, who is like your biggest fan in the world. Very sad she couldn't come. I will. Also, love to shout out to The Onion. Work there, so it's a fantastic place. Anyway, so my question is, how did you guys decide to make Chase be such like a nice character? I mean, maybe he changes after the first 4 or 5 episodes, but it seems like he's a pivotal aspect of the show. So the fact that you decided to make him a nice character, just interested in how you came up with that.
Yeah.
That's nice. Thank you for noticing that.
And thank you for asking about the content of the show, because I failed too, I think.
Had to have one question.
No, it was important to us that Carrie and Brooke love their brother, and we thought it was important for them to support him because it made it so much more complex that he was so successful and so much more like, ooh, I want to hate him, but I love him. And we just thought that was more existential and just like drove to more introspection of them. Because it's so much easier if someone, passes you in life and they suck, where you're just kind of like, I don't care about them. And if you love them, you want to keep them close. It's harder in a way.
And yeah, also when we were coming up with the idea of having something with legs, an idea of having enough legs, we were like, oh, if he's nice and supportive and sweet, it weirdly has more legs. Because if they're just jealous, that's like an episode. But we kind of, when we started getting into the season, like when he writes that song, like My Brother's Gay, it's funny how well-meaning it is. Like hopefully, like it's a celebration. It's like, he's probably like, I can't wait till my brother sees this. And it's like, has no idea of the ramifications. So it let us write the characters not just be jealous, but be like, oh my God, I have to deal with my sexuality, and I'm jealous, and I'm also scared for him in this industry, and yeah, I don't know. Let us play more.
All right.
And we love to play.
Thank you.
Yes.
Whoa.
Hi, my name
Hi.
is Ross. Social media is such a big part of this show, and I'm kind of wondering, is there somebody that you wish had social media, like as a celebrity, that never got a chance to have social media in the past that you think would be just hilarious to have social media?
God, I'll talk about people that I'm so glad do, and that's like Glenn Close and Diane Keaton. Is anybody following them?
Just
Yeah,
gonna say
Diane
I
Keaton's
don't know why.
Instagram.
Is unreal.
I was gonna say something similar, but it's rude. Well, not rude. My favorite person on Instagram, I say this with love, is Nicole Kidman, because I know she doesn't know she's on it. She's a great follow. She doesn't know she has one, but she posts many times a day.
Snark
But
twin.
I love her. No!
Wrap me up in that.
No! Sarah said that.
Well, he's really asking like who do
I
we
know.
wish
We
had
neither of
one?
us answered. Yeah.
What is like dead now or something?
They don't need to be dead. They can be very
It's like
much alive,
dead?
but just never-
I'm glad Jim Morrison didn't. I feel like he and John Lennon would have been insufferable tweeters. Maybe Lennon more. Yeah.
It's probably anyone you think was good from before. They would just be ruined, right?
Yeah, I mean, also people who clearly had a lot to say, and but they would just release an album and then, not share their every thought. Yeah.
Or like the Judy Garland decline. That's messed up. That's even worse than the Nicole Kidman one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you have one?
I thought like Dennis Hopper in like the 60s to 70s would just end up being like a Twitter rant that you just kind of like no spaces and they'd all just be like a screed and you kind of were like, all right, well that's something. It would have definitely been.
When you read a thread and you're like, this will be deleted so soon. It's
I don't think he would like remember doing it, and it just would have been like 5 days later. He would have just been like, "Oh, all right," and then like kept going. So I think that could work.
yeah.
Thank you.
Great question. Thank you, Ross. Hello.
Hi, Ryan. So
Your voice had great projection before you got to the microphone,
Yeah.
by the way. You went, hi, Ryan. It was great.
I'm from the radio.
so when you guys are writing a script, especially for something like Comedy Central, I'm assuming you've got your pre-script, your pre-edit script, and then you've just got to pump it full of jokes. Is that process grueling? Is it fun? Do you hate each other after it's done?
And real quick, thank you for asking about writing process, because I failed to do that the entire
Like, you mean the writing process specifically? What's it like to
Yeah,
write it?
like after, because I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, you'll write, the script, and then you'll go, all right, let's up our jokes per minute.
Yeah.
We don't write like a skeleton and then add jokes in. A lot of times, because a lot of our jokes are also weirdly in our show advancing the plot because so much is happening. So when we go into our script, we've already outlined everything and kind of within a lot of the scenes, we already know what some of the jokes are or have to be. So it's not really a jokes after the fact sitch.
But we kind of like punch up and write throughout the room, but then when the writer's room is over, we have a couple weeks before we really get into pre-production, and then Sarah and I would sit with them and do some punch up, but a lot of it is just like tracking, quite frankly, because then when you go into shooting, you shoot everything out of order, so we shot episode 9 first, and the show it already is a little bit becomes more serialized towards the end, so it's less punching up and more making sure like, okay, we mentioned the dad dies in the pilot, and we're gonna go somewhere, like where do we have to mention this to make sure this pays off? Like that kind of stuff is more like than like punching up jokes, I guess. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Ryan. Yes.
Nina, first, do you want to go to prom with me, John Mulaney?
When is it?
Do you want to go to prom, John Mulaney?
Thank you for the invitation. I shouldn't say yes, but thank you so much for the invitation.
My real question,
I think as a married man, in this time I have no idea what to say.
yeah.
She
thank
seemed
you.
to move on pretty quickly.
Yeah, she was done. I gotta say, I'm
She
the
was
one
not
living in
that
the
bummed.
past.
Yeah, so your seasons of SNL are probably my favorites. It's what got me into watching SNL. I'm completely obsessed. And I always wondered how the writers thought of these sketches in such a short amount of time. And I was wondering whether it was more stressful to write many, many sketches in a short amount of time for one show every week, or whether it was to figure out a full-length show over a long period of time.
That's a really good question.
Great question. They're both hard in different ways. The nice thing about SNL is you just churn that stuff out, and then because the show is on, you literally can't give it another thought. So you kind of just like write, and then it's on the show, and you have to start over the next day. And with a show, you just have so much longer to work on it and to overthink it and to second guess it, and so it's kind of hard in that way. Or at least with our personalities, we would just be like, wait, should she be wearing a jacket? Like, shut up.
And they're like,
Put
you
it on."
already shot it. She's wearing the
Yeah.
jacket. We're like, but can we take it away in post?
That's what you were tracking in the serialized moment.
Yeah, the jacket.
Should she still have a jacket?
Yeah, that answered it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the difference between like tests and papers. I prefer tests to papers. Like I just like having like the event, and I will either get like a C+ or an F, and then it's done and it's over, and yeah.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great time at prom.
Hello, Abigail. I have a
Hello,
question for the writers. So since you all worked on SNL and then later went on to other things, my question is, how did you find the adjustment of writing short-form comedy versus long-form comedy? Because for the past couple years, I've mostly been writing sketches, but now I'm trying to write a play, and I'm terrible at pacing it, so hoping for some help.
Well, with our show, we got to write the whole season before we shot it, luckily, and so we mapped out the entirety of it before getting into the minutia of it. That was really helpful for us because then when we went into the minutia, we knew exactly what had to happen each episode to get us to the next place, to get us to the end. And so we thought about it in a macro sense first and made sure we liked the last beat of the finale before we started the first joke of the premiere. Yeah. So wow, that was gorgeous.
Really? Have you said that before? And
No.
That's great.
Really good.
That was like my acting answer. That was stunning. You're all welcome.
At the risk of ruining this, but yeah, we also, one of the biggest adjustments we noticed, or we went out of our way to spend extra time on, was going from sketch to a story, was making sure that our characters weren't just one thing. Like a lot of times in sketch writing, you only have 3 minutes, so if a character walks in, you're like, here's their game, you heighten it, and then you get out. But making sure that over the course of a season, Streeter doesn't just stay the doof. Chase isn't like just a little asshole at the beginning, that everybody has like enough shades so that they're not just walking in and doing a joke you expect and then leaving, that they feel like more human-y. So that was like an adjustment or something that we spent time on to make sure we weren't just like doing like sketch one-off jokes.
Yeah, like if you watched the first episode and the 10th episode, you were like, what happened in between? And it wasn't just like, oh, this could have been the second episode.
You've gone for a damn ride. No, but
I don't know. I feel like I have not written 10 episodes of a TV show.
You wrote a
So
play.
what?
Didn't you write Oh Hello?
Yeah, I wrote Oh Hello
Play.
with Nick. Yeah, I guess that was a play. But you know, that was done a lot through performance, and we just put it up on stage in small places where we weren't afraid of like it being in shambles, and that was like a year-long process. But it is a hard adjustment. I don't know if I'm particularly great at it, but I don't know.
Yes, you are. Oh Hello was so good.
Thank you. No, but thank you. Rather than fish for a compliment, what I should have done was, I sometimes thought about the sketch characters I wrote I thought a lot about their lives outside of the sketch, to a very nuanced degree where if like someone said make a movie out of this character, and most of them they never would say that, like I felt like I had full backstories. Yeah. Did you feel that same way?
Sometimes.
you mean like with Boss Baby?
Well, and the reports that the marketing people had, yeah.
Yeah, but like especially when we were with Kate and 80, that would happen a lot. Well, because they're also so good. So Kate and 80 are very good at immediately inhabiting this woman and like know who that woman is and whether
man.
or man. I guess only men now. Like yeah, even if they don't say it on the script, you can tell that like Kate knows like her entire character's backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of tell when a performer does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, because I used to do that because I would only get ensemble roles in high school. So now I'm going to apply that to writing, so thank you.
Excellent. Oh, yes, sir, over here.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Seamus. I'm curious how you go from writing this amazing season of SNL with such hilarious and yet really powerful satire through the election, and now working on a TV show. Like, do you miss being part of like the political satire, the political action of the day, of the week, and kind of giving people that release at night? Or are you glad to just kind of be out of the politics game, at least for right now? Yeah. And we would love to have you back.
I mean, we loved being there during that. We felt so lucky and like insane to feel like a part of the discourse in whatever like small way we were doing. But you will notice there is no president in the other two. There is no government. We never touched on it in any way because we just liked living in a world where we didn't have to, follow every senators, journalists, every person's Twitter every day. So yeah.
This is a very cheesy answer, but I miss it. Not in like I'm very happy to be doing this show, but the thing I miss the most is not like responding to Trump or something, but we talk about this too. Like we get very existential from like 11 to 11:30 at night, cuz like that's the half hour where you like literally run as fast as you can, making changes, like talking to cue cards, like props and costumes, and you literally are running as fast as you can, and it is such a scramble, and I fucking loved it. It was like so cool. That was the part of SNL where I was like, this is what I thought it would be like when I was little, and so I truly loved it. And like I live in LA now, and when it's like 8 o'clock on a Saturday, I can tell that my boyfriend can tell I'm like not here. I'm like just in a mood, just like thinking. I get very like
the
sad
muscle
about
memory
it.
of like, yeah.
But I like, yeah, I miss that. Yeah.
Laps around your house.
I just start running for a half hour.
Yeah,
But
like you sprint. Like
You sprint.
sprint and you go, move, move. And then you like change a cue card. It's crazy.
Wait, we've talked about this because you
yeah.
told me recently.
My like first or second year when I wouldn't have anything on, I would still just like run up and down the halls to be like, I'm part of this, I'm doing this, I'm this. And it was very clear, I'm sure. I mean, all the writers know what you have on that week. So they're like, there's fucking Sarah just running around the halls for no reason. Just like, important.
I thought
doing
she
nothing.
biffed it hard at table, but she's holding a lot of papers.
She's pushing men out of the way, so I guess she's important.
She's got a lot of 3/4-inch tapes. She's really working.
Thanks.
Thank you. Hello.
I'm Shoshi. Hi, you all. The way you depict folks in the music industry is hilarious so far, and I'm curious if there's any experiences or stories from your experiences with SNL musical guests and or their managers or posse. Feel free to name names, but you don't have to. Thanks.
You have some?
Yeah. I mean, of course, as do you.
We would never speak of those.
No. It is a the reason that it's nice to be protective of people in that setting is because I learned after a few months working with hosts, especially on the monologues. I would write like a lot of monologues. They're in such a weird headspace. Like a film actor or a film actor who's quite possibly never been in front of a live audience is so terrified or in an altered state that to sort of hold them to their not even bad behavior, but just attitude or what they were giving off that week is not fair. So I think that's why, in general, we're not telling you about some of the really shitty people we encountered.
But also Yeah, you go.
What was yours? The one that we have talked about is when Justin Bieber hosted. The host usually comes around on Tuesday nights and you like meet with them and talk to them and tell them what sketches you want to do. And he didn't come around, and his agent manager came around instead and told us that he couldn't come because he'd eaten a bunch of raw eggs and was laying down because they're trying to get him jacked up. And that's in the first episode. That's the only one that we really.
But it sort of goes to our like thing we were saying earlier, which like that I feel like sometimes people are like, Justin Bieber was the worst host of SNL, which is not my memory. But also it made us be like, oh my God, this kid, like what is he going through? What are these people like? So then it made us approach like Chase sort of similarly. And also we don't really think that, other than that joke, that Chase is based on Justin Bieber. He's more based on these like newer, younger social media kids, yeah.
But let me tell you something.
Say one.
When he was the musical guest before he hosted. I think Tina was the host, and he was the musical guest. That might have
that
yeah.
sounds right.
It was Friday night, and I was walking down the hall to go rehearse something. It was like 11 p.m., and I was just like walking down. I had so many papers. I was just like a melancholy prince, like. It's like I was so just like I wasn't even sad. I was just like depleted of any serotonin. And all of a sudden, someone's right here, and they go like, and I went, yeah, and I threw all the papers in the air, and it was Justin Bieber, and he went, ha 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 ha. He laughed at me, and then all his crew laughed at me, and then his manager went, JB, we're late. So he took time. He was going somewhere, and he took time out of his day to embarrass a depressed man. That being said, and that's proof that these are not snark twins, that I'm holding this grudge. No, that being said, he was just a little kid. But, you know, I wish he better not do that to me again. Or I'll show him.
There were actually a lot of details in the show, that we took from Case Walker.
Yeah.
Like when we talked to him, we would be like, tell us about your life, because we just didn't know about it.
Yeah, like he actually got letters from girls pretending to be dying in hospitals and be like, please send this to me, I'm in the hospital. That was legit pulled from Case.
Yeah, he came in, we were auditioning people, and it would be like professional kid actor after professional kid actor. They would come in and be like, hello, I'm Michael Christopher. And they would like put their briefcase on the table, be like, I'm doing a little number. And they were amazing, and they could act and sing and dance. And then Case came in, and he like walked in and kind of like slinked in with his like hoodie like halfway up his head.
And we all stood up straight, and we
were like oh my God. And I think we were like, Case, how's it going? And he was like, just rising and grinding.
He said the grind never stops.
Oh, the grind never stops. The grind never stops. But he had like those Bieber hands, like.
He does in pictures too. He's like, anytime you take a picture with Case, he's like.
Yeah, because we stated that answer when people asked if it's based on Justin Bieber, that it's not. That Chase is based on the kids who are based on Justin Bieber, because you can see like people who have like looked up to him and they grew up watching his videos and the way he like talks and moves and sings and is in interviews. They're copying that, and that's interesting to us. Yeah.
One of those kids also, I talked to like the child that he was. He was like 8, and I was like, so who's your favorite person you've ever worked with? And he said, Steven Spielberg. Thank you for that.
I tried to give a child actor direction once where it was like, could you just, the line was like, what I wanted was like, could you just, never mind. Like the person you're talking to is so stupid, you're not even gonna bother. So I was like, no, it's like, when you're just like, you know what, forget it. Because the person's so dumb that you're like not even gonna waste your time talking to them, and the kid was just looking at me like, no, I don't know what that feeling. I'm not at that place in life. Yes. If there are no more questions, I guess we will call an end to this fantastic panel. Thank you, Sarah Schneider, Chris Kelly, Talker, Helena York. Thank you for coming out. The Other Two is on Comedy Central and other platforms.
Thank you, John.
And thank you very much to John Mulaney for doing this.
Thank you guys for coming.
Oh, we're supposed to stand and wait.